We are here on the Porsche stand at the Goodwood Festival of Speed 2019 for a particular reason, because when the car behind me, the 718 GT4, was released, I got an awful lot of messages saying, are you doing a walk around? Are you doing a walk around? And we hadn't, but we're going to now, because
let's walk around it.
Let's walk around it. It's Andreas Preuninger. So you're going to talk
Hello,
about the car. So this is all for all the people that asked.
Yeah, extra for you all, guys.
Exactly, yes.
For his post box.
Exactly. So we started around the back of the car because I thought I would ask you about the engine.
The engine.
Because that's, I think,
which is not exactly in the back, which is in the middle.
It's in the middle. All right, fine, but it's not in the front. So this engine. So it's the 9A2 Evo engine, which is the engine out of the 992, but completely different.
I would say, I mean, the name is 9A2 Evo. It's a derivative of the 3.0 liter turbocharged engine of the Carrera, but actually it is a bespoke engine because it's got a different crankcase, it's got different pistons, it's got different conrods, it's got different crankshaft, got different heads, different valves, so it shares the generator and some other stuff around the engine. But it still is kind of constructed out of the turbo engine. So it has 4 liters, it has the same bore and stroke as the GT3 race engine.
Okay.
So that's about geometrically the same. It has 420 horsepower, so that's a plus of 35 if you compare it to the 981 predecessor, which are noticeable. Definitely, it's a 4-liter engine, and it's legal in Europe till whenever, so
which
it's
is pretty important.
very good on emissions. Not only the emissions that are valid today, but only for tomorrow, as well for tomorrow's regulations. So we're really happy with that. It has a particulate filter. Everybody was talking, oh, it has a particulate filter. The end of the world. No, it isn't.
Well, we know
it has a great sound.
Speedster.
You hardly, Speedster. We showed it off on the Speedster. There's a similar technology in this car, and it's quite a leap from the performance-wise if you compare to the predecessor, but it still is a GT4. It's power you can use, it's power you can enjoy, it's a car you can dare to fully throttle it, sometimes even in a normal situations on a nice back road when there's nobody there. And that's about the chemistry of the GT4. To have this earthly power, this usable power, and this balance of the car, this precision sharp knife sharp reaction to everything. It has GT3 suspension and components like the 981, and it has revised aerodynamics as a matter of fact, and some other tweaks here and there, and it's quicker. It has to be quicker. It's a motorsport car.
Yes.
So we can't come out with the official data yet, but it's more than 10 seconds quicker on the ring than its predecessor, and it's not alone the horsepower, it's the whole package. And we're really happy that we have it back on the market.
Absolutely.
Everybody's waiting.
Coming back to those particulate filters, one of the things is obviously you can reduce muffler size because you've actually got the particulate filter acting almost as a muffler as well. So that's one of the reasons that you can work around this. It doesn't just have to be on top of that to reduce sound even further, does it?
Yeah, this is I mean, a particulate filter dampens the exhaust noise a little bit, so you can live with less dampening dampers, let's say, mufflers in itself. And on the Speedster, we even are lighter with the exhaust system. I explained that in several interviews. So we can take away the rear side dampers and use the particulate filter instead. So that saves us weight and saves us package room. On the mid-engine car, it's a little bit different because the engine sits in the middle, and we have to find a way to route the exhaust to the end. So you have to cross the drive shafts, and so they make a little bit of a bow. So we are happier with the exhaust situation in 911 in a rear-engined application. So we have to be very clever here, not to get too much back pressure on the exhaust. But we did a good job here, despite having the OPFs, and the sound is great. Nevertheless.
Absolutely. And I think there's a benefit obviously to having this engine. Obviously the Cosworth came out forward with a 3.8 GT3 engine in it, but in terms of actually being able to produce more of these, this new engine is a help to that extent, I think.
Yeah, well, we can't talk about the future too much, but it's a bespoke engine at this time for the Speedster, for the Spyder and the GT4. That's true. but it's an engine that we could really imagine that we can use for other programs as well, which I can't go into detail too much. But yeah, it definitely is the case that we want to use this beautiful platform for future products as well. Maybe not in this super sharp form that we have here on the GT, but the overall platform of this engine is very usable and it's fit for the future. That's important.
In the same way that you didn't develop the 6-speed box just for the 911R, there might be other things.
We want to bring joy to all the people.
Exactly.
At least to more than just one group of customers.
Talking of gearboxes, there is only one gearbox available with this car at the moment, which is...
It's a manual.
Manual, yeah. Which
it's the same gearbox that we have in the predecessor as well. We think it fits very well the driver's car characteristics of that GT4, and that goes for the Spyder as well. People buying that car, they want to work in the car, they want to have the additional interface with their foot, the clutch, and to have one means more to operate and influence the car's behavior. But we hear voices as well that are calling for a PDK in the car. We can't offer that at the moment, but we're working on it. We're going to bring that out, not this year, but maybe a little bit later in the life cycle, next year somewhere. So the cars will be available with a PDK as well, shortly.
Should you like that sort of thing?
I always told you on the GT3, it's always good to have choices.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who are we to tell the customer what's best for him? So
he
can make up his own mind.
Absolutely, choices is the important thing. So coming back to the suspension, it's all fully adjustable, toe camber.
It's like all the GT cars, it's adjustable in all ways, camber, toe in, ride height. It's pretty much the same components, at least on the front axle that we use in the GT3 and in the Cup car, and it's a bespoke new rear axle for the 718 application here.
Yeah. New design of wheel as well, I think,
well,
which kind of looks a bit more like GT3.
We still like the look of the GT theme in it. There's 5 spokes V, and it's an evolution of the old wheel, which we still love, and it befits the character of the car, and everybody right away notice it and recognize it as a GT wheel.
Yeah.
And but it's evolution, not revolution.
Yes, sure. Absolutely.
It's lighter though.
Is it?
Than the old one. Yeah.
Excellent. We'll come
a couple of 100 grams. So.
We'll come on to weight in a minute. The carbon ceramic brakes, whilst we're down here, obviously an option, still as standard.
Yeah.
Aerodynamics is obviously the other big
step. Why? Mainly because of the other car we're going to look at in a minute, I guess, the Spyder. Because an open car always has this problem where to make the downforce with. Because I don't want to have an open car with a huge wing. It looks stupid, at least for my taste, and it's not as effective because you got all these swirls from the open from the open windscreen. So it's not as effective. So you have to look for downforce underneath. And so we constructed this diffuser, which you only can see a part of when you look at the back of the car, but which goes all the way underneath the car. We have a mid-engine car, so we can really accelerate the air up. There's no engine sitting in the back preventing a real useful diffuser. I mean, the ones on the GT models, they work, but not as good logically as here. Because we can accelerate
the longer you get to accelerate.
We made the complete exhaust system was a slave to the diffuser because we needed, follow me guys, we needed this portion in the middle to be open and to be unrestricted all the way down. That's very important. So the exhaust had to go to the sides and the rear damper is like this. It was a costly thing, and but we wanted to have this downforce to get the Spyder in a neutral or even slightly downforce region. On that car, it is additional downforce because this wing is more effective than the predecessor by about 20%, and on top of that comes another 50% from the underbody. Wow. So the GT4, being in balance, we did something to the front as well.
I was going to say, we're going to have a look.
Show you. Is in the range of our GT3 Gen 1 was. So it's about double the downforce the car has as it had on the 981. And the Spyder is slightly downforce and very neutral. So it doesn't have any lift. So that was the good thing about it. It's fantastic.
Should we have a look at the aero on the front then?
Sure.
Let's have a quick
and the side blades are integrated now.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I haven't seen that.
The profile is different. The gurney here, the inbuilt gurney is a little bit different. It sits a little bit higher. But and it's still very efficient because the diffuser just adds downforce, it doesn't affect the coefficient drag at all, which is a good thing. Because normally it's always a trade-off.
Yes.
Having a lot of downforce means the dog will accelerate like a pig at 120 onwards, and that's not what we want to have. We want it to have it efficient, aerodynamically balanced, and this is a lot of work in the wind tunnel. But in that car, it really works. I'll show the front. In the front, we have that thing here, which we call the air curtain. It's not a design feature. You'll never find a design feature that's only there for design and looking good. We always make the functional parts first, and then we take the studio guys and ask them, please make them more beautiful. Because mostly when we come with the prototypes out of the wind tunnel, you can't look at their things. But we know exactly what we want to do. And this is an air curtain. That means air enters here, gets accelerated, and gets ripped out here. There's a low pressure zone here, and it rips out the air out of the wheel well. Thus, there's no lift building up as a cushion underneath the car. So we vent it. We force the venting with this air vane here.
So this is effectively doing the job that we see the vents on top of the wheels, or partially
part of the job.
like the job.
The other part is, you see here, the front spoiler is a lot wider and has more surface. And it can take a lot of pressure of the wind. That's the second thing, and the third thing is the diffuser underneath, which you can't see. It's a little bit bigger than it used to be, and there's still this inserts that you can take off when you want to go to the next inclination angle of the rear wing. That always goes in synchronicity. So you have to, if you do that, you have to do that as well. But the default mode is with the inserts and the spoiler in a 0 degree or 2 degree position like it is now.
You can guarantee everyone you see in the Nordschleife car park now is going to have.
When we're doing Nordschleife, we'll be going full downforce.
Yes,
definitely. It harms the CD a little bit when you take out that things and go a little bit steeper. But on the Nordschleife and on most tracks, it'll yield better results.
Absolutely.
But you don't need it on the Autobahn. No. Definitely not. And the car goes over 300 now, 304 kilometers an hour, which is 100, you calculate yourself. 180, whatever.
188 miles an hour, something like that, I think. So something like that.
Fast enough.
Yes. Absolutely. Ride height, obviously compared to
ride
standards.
Ride height is adjustable. It's I think it's the same stance than the predecessor has, because it just fits the rear engine car sitting like that. That's the setup we believe is best for everything all around. But if you go, I mean, every individual driver has its own preferences, so you can play around and try. I mean, that's part of the fun.
Part of the fun, absolutely. Manual gearbox, because inside there's now a button, as there was with Speedster, so that you can turn the auto blip on and off, which is really nice.
That has been there before. In the predecessor, it only was named Sport. Which. We decided it very late on the 981, and there was just no time make a different lettering. So now we call it auto-blip, which is pretty self-explanatory, I think. But you can switch it off. There's only one button, means one function. If you don't want it, push the button and you're set.
We should talk about weight, because obviously if people just look at the spec sheet and look at it side by side, they think, there's going to be a lot more, but it's not the case.
Deceiving. We have a different situation in homologation and typization processes that we had 5 years ago. So 5 years ago we could homologate the GT4 in its lightest possible spec that the customer can choose. That means PCCB, sport bucket seats, deletion of radio, so the lightest possible spec. And that was the weight that we legally could take for homologation. Now it changed a little bit. You have to homologate the standard car with no boxes ticked. So with no boxes ticked, that may contain options that are lighter than the standard equipment. So it's comparing apples with pies then. So the real weight difference of the car is neglectable. It is 30 kilos about. Why? Because we have a 4-liter engine. It's bigger. We have the exhaust system with the big converters. Like the particulate filters. We have not a situation like in the Speedster where we could make an advantage out of that and leave something away, because there were no rear left and right dampers on the 981. It lived with one rear damper like today. So that was additional weight, and then all the diffuser stuff on the car as well, put in like 7-8 kilos, and if you add all that up, you're adding about 30 kilos, which is a pity, but it's not 100 like on paper.
No.
So you don't feel it because you've got more torque all the way through the rev band, especially on the part load, and yeah, it's really the best we could do at the moment with the situation given by the worldwide homologation.
Absolutely.
We're on the next spec tires, as you can imagine. So we have Dunlops and we have Michelin, and we added some dry grip, like always. You always find something in the compound and in the thread angles of the understructure, and some of the gains on the Nordschleife as well comes from the tires, as always.
Sure.
I think we got a little bit better, or substantially better, in the wet behavior even. So as it's not an all-round, all-winter tire or all-season tire, but even this ultra-high performance semi-slicks, as some people call them, get better and better in dry conditions as well, in dry conditions and on the wet conditions, which is very important here on the island.
And is there a difference you can feel between the Dunlop and the Michelin? Also?
That's always the main target, that the car doesn't feel different. I mean, if you drive a car back to back every day, there's slight nuances that you maybe can filter out, but for the end customer it doesn't matter, really. They're both very good tires.
Absolutely.
And the lap timing is exactly the same. The steering feel around the center on the Michelin is a little bit sharper than on the Dunlop, but the Dunlop is has a little bit an edge in wear and tear, and in water drainage in conditions that are not as perfect, but like I said, it's nuances.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both
but people like to know nuances.
Both companies did a great job, and we'll continue with both companies for the next product. So really happy on the tire side.
Yeah, that's cool. Should we have a quick chat about the Spyder just over there?
Let's go over there. It's mainly this car in white without a roof. For the first time. So there's more changes to that car than to the GT4 even.
Absolutely. So this is the main point that last time, obviously, we should say with the previous Spyder, it wasn't a GT car. This is.
This is because it features all the goodies from the GT4, like it has the GT3 suspension as the GT4 has as well. So there's no differences in setup. So it's not that this is the track setup and this is the setup for whatever, for just weekday cruising, going to the ice cream parlor.
Yeah. Same spring, same dampers.
Same spring, same. The damper correctors a little bit different to adjust to the mechanical grip of the car, to the aerodynamic thing. But it's nuances.
Yes.
It's really the same hardware, and
torsional stiffness.
Torsional stiffness on a car like that, as a matter of fact, is not on par with the coupe. But it's a very stiff car. It's a very stiff car, even on track. And I don't think people buying the Spyder use it as a primary track tool. I think they're going for the GT4 then. That's at least our advice. But this is a car that has all the GT goodies, like a Speedster, a little brother of the Speedster. And it's a lot of fun. It's very entertaining to drive. I like to drive in the open because you hear the engine note a little bit better. It's not the track car, but it's a car to enjoy on a Sunday morning when everybody's sleeping. I mean, on the winding country roads. It's really, and it's a great value package because it's the same money than the GT4. Normally our convertibles are always a little bit more expensive. Not here. So.
Absolutely. And the aerodynamics you're saying, there's no rear wing, but that one does move up.
It lives from the diffuser. It has the same diffuser than the GT4. So the main advantages and differences to the old model aerodynamic wise is really the diffuser.
Yes.
That brings the car to a neutral or almost in a small downforce bracket when you look at the values, which makes the car very stable even at high speeds, even with the top down.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and it's a manual roof in terms of going up and down, or mostly manual?
It's mostly very similar to the Speedster and very similar to the predecessor.
Yes.
So it's a little bit of work. You have to get out. So if you stop in the pouring rain, you get wet. So it takes some time. So it's a procedure. You have to you have to accept that. So it's not a push of a button. But it looks good, even closed.
Yeah.
But the main status the car should be in is like we see it here, open.
Yes.
It's only when you do a valet parking or it's parked outside a restaurant, you don't want people to throw stuff in or something.
Yes, absolutely. Specing this car, do you have a preference for how you'd spec this car?
I mean, the most important thing for me is the seats. You need to have the bucket seats because you're getting so much more information because you just are more involved and engulfed in the seat, and the surface touched by the car it wraps around your back, and this gives so much information. And on that seats you can drive for 10 hours without aching.
Yeah.
And we are both tall, so you can go all the way down. And even people that are small, I like these seats. So it's really, if there's one option, one box to take for me, it would always be the sport bucket seats.
Yeah.
And
anything else?
Anything else?
Yeah,
well, I mean, it depends if you're on a budget. I mean, we got lots of great options. This is a great one, Radio Elite. You can put your mobile phone here. You could put your purse in here. Every time you accelerate, stuff falls out. So no, I mean, in a car like that, I need a radio. I love to listen to music, and what's a better situation than enjoying your music as if you drive a car like that open? So get yourself a radio.
Yeah.
So definitely. And everything else, I mean, the PCCB brake is nice. It's costly, and the steel rotors are quite fine on that one. It's the same on the GT3.
Yeah.
So they don't have to work very hard on that car. It's down to personal taste. But get the seats.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, one of the big things with the last GT4, I think it's fair to say, Porsche was kind of surprised by just how popular it was in terms of, and people were quite. There was a lot of.
It's always
anger in some respects, people not being able to get hold of it. So, is the Spyder and the GT4 now going to be easier to get hold of?
We believe in listening to customers. People should know that in the meantime. And you got it right. Really, we're a little bit shocked by the response of the market on the 981. I thought it would be a great selling car, and a car that would be received very well by the market. But it was beyond that, definitely. Yeah. And this time we really want the enthusiast to get the car. I met a lot of people here, so we have to clarify one thing, because I heard so many times they say, "Oh, my dealer said the cars are sold out." What the dealer means is the contingent of 2019 might be sold out, which is normal when you communicate a car. But there will be 2020 cars and maybe 2021 cars, so we are preparing production to get all the cars to the enthusiasts that deserve it.
Yes.
So I can't make any promises, and we won't build 20,000 of those, we can't. But we're definitely gonna try to meet the demand a little bit better than last time. And if somebody sells a car is sold out, it's only true for this year. Yeah. But this car is going to stay in the program a lot longer. So,
which is presumably one of the advantages of the new engine, is that you're not restricted by times and emissions.
It has to pay off a whole new engine for just 2 cars. So
absolutely.
Just joking. But this is an important message to get across. So we really listen, and we want especially that cars that are our entry-level GT cars, that are lusted for even by the 918 buyers, because it's so much fun and it's such an enjoyable car. So we're trying to be in a position to meet the demand this time. We're doing our best, so my promise.
Thank you very much, Andreas. It's been
a pleasure, as always.
Absolutely.
As always.
And I can't wait to drive them. We should be fairly soon. So
yeah, it should be. But
next week's time. Yes.
Next week in Scotland.
Yes. Good.
We love England.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.